catch short passes on Texas and break them.
You're right about
for long
that.
runs. Texas is really, really good at tackling in the open field. This secondary is, and they're doing a good job of smothering the short intermediate passing game. So I'm not worried. If they want to rely on that, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with you want to throw it. You can't even throw it to Jay Barron on the short passing game. He never gets any yards. he's smothering the short passing game. He really is, man. And I trust Terrence Brooks, the field corner. He's been fantastic against the short passing game. So go ahead with the short passing game, please. Go ahead. What I worry about is the deep ball.
Yeah.
What I worry about is because short passing game, that's going to put you got to put together 12 to 15 play drives. Please go right ahead. Can you block Devondre Sweat and Byron Murphy for that long? I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
All right, so
if they
I'm
weaponize
cool.
Anthony Hill.
I'm cool with them going double-digit drives. What I cannot have is them getting chunk yardage plays in those haymakers. All right, they can land out a little small, jabs they want to, little body blows they want to, but they land them haymakers. Trust me, that's what's going to hurt the most. That's what can knock you out.
Yeah, that's right. And those are staggering, especially in this game with the momentum swings and the split crowd.
Exactly.
All right, good stuff right there. We're off and running. We will hear from Colt McCoy. His prediction on this game went 3-1 against Oklahoma in his career. Also, the other side's perspective on Texas and OU, and also hear from Sark this morning as we get you ready for kickoff. And as Rod said, we're tired of talking about. We want to see it at 11 o'clock. I know you do too. But if you're making the trip up, maybe you're halfway to Dallas, you're going to get there by an hour before kickoff to get yourself one of those wax cups of Bud Light and get yourself going, man. Get yourself a corn dog on your. There's something about those waxy cups of Bud Light, Rod, or when it's cold out. There's a little chill in the air. The wind's blowing. It's just like it's perfect. It's the perfect environment. The sun's out. So you got to have a pullover on. You'll pull that thing
like
off.
Football.
You'll pull that thing off when it heats up and gets into the 70s during the game itself. But, man, couldn't draw it up any better. You can hit us on a text line, too, if you'd like to weigh in. Your final comments on Texas OU, 447-3776. We got that fired up as well. Cole Dixon is here. Rod's here. We're going all the way to 11 o'clock to get you ready for the kickoff of the Red River rivalry here on the Horn.
Your exclusive home for the Jim Rome Show.
We also have an affiliate in Austin. You'll never find anybody anywhere who doesn't think that that's
watch party location. Talked about the weather being spectacular. Well, Fieldhouse at the crossover there, Cedar Park Leander is where you want to be. Take your lawn chair, set it up on the AstroTurf with a we say big screen. It's a movie theater screen on the stage there. Sound is amazing. Be a great way to kind of simulate the Cotton Bowl because there'll be a big crowd. Get yourself a picnic table. They're going to open up about 10:30 to get people seated. They'll start serving drinks and food after 11 at the Fieldhouse at the crossover. Our friends at Bud Light helping us with that. Remember, there are $18 buckets of those burnt orange Bud Lights.
Hey,
I have one of those cans right here. If you're watching on our Twitch channel at hornfm.com, and get a whole bucket of those for $18, plus a pitcher of Mick Ultra for $16 while the game's going on. You got
to start drinking early because they force you.
And then you get
it's 11 a.m., so they force you to start drinking early.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And if you're a Texas Rangers fan, the Rangers will be playing at 11 as well, or noon. So they'll have that game on certain televisions to make sure you're keeping up with that bad boy and the other games in college football. But there's only one game in college football here on this Saturday morning. So get out there, Fieldhouse at the crossover. Right there, if you know where the HEB Center at Cedar Park is, it is directly across, essentially, from that on the other side of the 183A toll road. Go one block to off of the tollway, and there it is. You can't miss it. It's a massive spot and a great spot. Plenty of parking, plenty of seating, and it'll be the biggest crowd in town, I promise you, for that big event. All right, couple of notes. Rod mentioned that it's now being reported by Pete Thamel of ESPN that Ryan Watts will not play in this game for Texas. Which is, their most physical corner. Is their best corner? Probably not.
He's also the one that's played the most, right?
Yeah, he's their
veteran
player.
He's the one that's played the most. They rotate a lot of guys, but he's one of those guys that plays a lot.
He does. He's one of Jalen Ford and Jahdae Barron probably play the most, especially depending on we've seen Jahdae Barron play a few snaps, especially when against some of the power
Baylor,
running team.
They took him off against Baylor a lot, remember?
Yeah, they brought in Jeb Bush.
Yeah, because Baylor played 40 personnel a lot.
Yeah, and they were playing a lot of 4-3 defense. And it'll be interesting to see how Texas, interesting. I think all Longhorn fans will be watching closely how the Longhorns, use their arsenal here on defense, how the rotations work. Do they tighten them up? You and I both talked about Jalen Catalon being a big factor here as a physical, come in the box safety, but also in coverage, his knowledge of this offense. Jahdae Barron is one of the highest IQ, smartest players on the Texas team, and no one studies more film than Jahdae. That's why he always seems to be in the right place. Jalen Ford, of course, in that same conversation. But you mentioned physicality. It's Texas OU. Can we hear from Sark on, obviously, the more physical team will win this football game?
Well, I think it starts in practice. We preach physicality. We practice good on good a lot. When we go to team run drill, we don't throw passes. We're going to run the football. The defense knows we're going to run the football. The line of scrimmage is critical. We don't gimmick the line of scrimmage. We're not slanting and moving. It's mano a mano. We're trying to fit blocks. We're trying to block people. We're trying to run through tackles. We're trying to get people on the ground. We really emphasize the perimeter screen game and why our receivers have to block and the way they block in the perimeter. But conversely, on defense, we emphasize, attacking those perimeter screens. And over time, 3 years in, I think it's become part of our DNA. It's part of our identity of this is the part of the standard in which we play the game. And I think our players take a lot of pride in that. And so when we play that style and we play that way, I think it lends itself to us feeling confident in the way that we're playing the game, every Saturday. And when we're not, that's other things can then start to fall through the cracks. The play action pass game isn't as good. Now we're allowing our opponents to run it as well as throw it and do those things, or throw perimeter screens, bubbles and whatnot. So the level of physicality in which we play, the way we cover kicks, those are prerequisites if you want to get on the field with us. And I think our players know that it's not like there's some hidden agenda behind it. Like, that is a prerequisite. If you want to play at the University of Texas, you've got to be a physical football player.
I like that. Yeah, and we see it. You do see it with the DBs. Remember I said I don't fear Oklahoma's quick passing game. Texas smothers that stuff, man. I've actually been concerned, and I don't know why more teams don't do it. They're so fast flow for the double pass or the screen and go or the, you know what I mean, that you can do double moves on them because they are so fast flow to the football when it comes to those perimeter screens, the tunnel screens, and the bubble screens. And I wonder if some team will every now and then get them with a stalk block and go or a screen and go or even a double pass. And I think, hell, this may be the game for it. Actually,
this will be the game for it.
Because Texas they're really aggressive on those perimeter screens, man. Really, like to the point where they don't. I think they are reading keys even before the quarterback actually, throws it. They're not reading the quarterback; they're reading keys of the blockers of the wide receivers in front of them, which is great. But you also can use those keys against them and stalk, block, and go, and use misinformation against them. So I wonder if Oklahoma will do some of that. But that's why I'm not worried about the underneath stuff. I'm worried about the deep over the top stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff right there from Sark.
That was great stuff.
Yeah, well, and that's
got to be physical, man.
But yes, and that's why I say I think it's, as we've talked about, I think it's a combination of physicality but also IQ, right? You've got to be aware for what you just said. You have to imagine. I know Sark has told, and the coaches have preached that this week. Guys, be aware. They got beat 49-0 in this game. They've heard about that, the humiliation all offseason. You talked about it. You carried that all year. Bragging rights in this game is as big as just winning the game. Mm-hmm. And that was an embarrassment for Oklahoma last year. They were non-competitive in this game. So, and again, because of the easy schedule that they've played, or relatively easy, there's going to be some things. So you've got to be aggressive and be ready to come up and be physical, but also you got to be aware of, okay, that doesn't look right. What don't try to go make that big hit and run right by a guy who's running past you, because big plays, as you said, you'd much rather give up long drives if they end up in the end zone. Okay, let's go. But do not give up an easy one. Do not give up the one over the top. That becomes the question. Also for Texas, it's looks like J.T. Sanders should be good to go. As you've talked about, can he go the full 60? With that ankle, knowing the bye week is around the corner, I assume they'll be ready to let him go. But at the same time, Ryan Watts likely not to play in this game. Can I hear from Colt McCoy? Thought this was really interesting. He was on the Colin Cowherd show this week nationally, really talking about some NFL and why he got cut by the Cardinals and all that kind of stuff, but also the Kyler Murray debate. But he also, of course, was asked by Colin about the Texas OU game coming up here in a couple of hours, inside 2 hours, and here were his thoughts on how this one's going to go today, and also an interesting point about Brett Venables having faced him when he was the DC at OU.
I'm going to go 36-23, Texas over Oklahoma. I think they ball control it in the second half. They found their running back a couple weekends ago. 36-23, Texas. What say you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Oklahoma's a little, blistered about last year, right? We beat them 49-0, and I don't think that they've liked hearing about that all year. But at the same time, I think Texas is better.
Yes.
Texas is a lot better than what they were last year. I think they're more experienced, and I also think they play good in big games. So for me, I'm biased, but I think Texas is going to run away with it pretty early.
Ooh, I like that. That's smoke. Hear that, J-Mac? This guy's not shy. He's not sitting on the fence. Not waffling.
The one thing I will say is when I was in college, Venables was the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Yeah. And he was always the hardest guy to play against. He always had a random corner blitz or a zone pressure that I hadn't seen before, and you have to come back to the sidelines. And he runs an outstanding defense. So I know they'll have some stuff up their sleeve for Sark and for Quinn. But again, I just think Texas is too talented. I think they're playing at a high level. And I think that they're just better right now.
Yeah, I think they're going to control. I think their O-line is just
all right. But Rod,
that's good stuff. That's real. That's just great nuggets right there.
Good.
That's a good cut you found because I truly believe that. I think that Brent Venables is going to throw some exotic things at Quinn if he's paying attention. I know he is. He's a good football mind. Sark has even told us that in two of the three first games that Texas played, the opponent showed them something on the field that they were not prepared for. They did not see on film. And that's why, well, he didn't say this, but we are saying it. That's why Quinn started slow. And was indecisive early on in games, a little inconsistent early on in those games. We assumed those games were Rice and Wyoming because in the Bama game, he was well prepared. But how long do you think he's been preparing for that Bama game? He was really familiar with those plays. They probably been practicing those plays for months. And I think it shows you that when Quinn is prepared, when Quinn is prepped up, when Quinn is familiar with the schemes and presentations that he is going to see, that the defense is going to present to him, he's spectacular. That's why in Oklahoma last year, he was so great. Why? That was his first game coming back from an injury. So Sark had him primed and prepped and ready to go, baby. He had those plays for like 2 weeks. So, hey, these are plays we're going to run. Just so you know, this is what we're attacking. Get ready to go. And so I think that's kind of the key for Quinn. Can you show something to him that he has not seen on film and force him to have to diagnose post-snap more often, and then he becomes a little bit more indecisive and inconsistent? And not saying he won't adapt, because he's a much better player now. He'll adapt, but you can get him to start slow. He starts slow. Texas starts slow. And then that's kind of how you stay in the game. And here's a key for you too, E. Think about this stat. 17.4%. That is the pressure rate for Oklahoma when they don't blitz. All right? That ranks 118th in the country. 118th, which means they got to blitz. Especially against the Texas O-line, the best O-line they've played so far, they're going to have to blitz to get after Quinn. That's going to be key. How do they do it? And if they blitz on early downs, in the rundowns, how does that work out? And the simulated pressures later, which is not a blitz, it just looks, smells, and feels like a blitz. You'll have a lot of those too, which Brent Venables like. Well, which have worked well against Texas. Agreed 100%. And that's a great stat, because I think if you have to blitz, Rod, and we had Jerry Hamilton with us yesterday up at Terry Black's Barbecue. And again, thanks to everybody that came out to that. That was awesome. That's great stuff. I mean, Jerry believes this is going to be throw everything, all the blitz packages you have at Texas. And because Gary, after being embarrassed last year, Brent Venables can't leave the stadium having run a conservative game plan at Texas and lose. But at the same time, Quinn's been better against the blitz, because if you pick it up, it's a clearer picture. It's one-on-one coverage on the outside, and Texas can win that. So you wonder if they disguise, they will disguise blitzes. They'll look blitz, but then won't come, and all the simulated pressures you talk about quite a lot. That'll be the picture. And I love Colt McCoy's thought that always the toughest, always had stuff. And so if you're a Texas fan and you're watching this game or going to the game at the Cotton Bowl, listening there at the fair, don't get frustrated if it doesn't look all perfect easy. I mean, it came so easy last year in this game. It couldn't have gone better. Too easy. Don't expect that in this game. This will be a Texas OU game. This thing will come down to the third and fourth quarter. This game will come down to some big plays. And Texas, that's where their overall talent and depth and superior roster will win out over time, and stronger running game. That's when the big offensive linemen start wearing you down in the second half. Jonathan Brooks starts getting loose. If it doesn't look perfect early, I think you just be patient with it. Texas has shown the ability to turn it on in the second half when they need to already this year. The other part of that, Rod, is if Quinn Ewers, when Colt McCoy said he'll make you hesitate, I love about Quinn that, he'll look indecisive and he'll take some ugly plays, but he won't throw the pick, right? Or at least he hasn't. He hasn't. His only pick this year came trying to force something to get points on the board before halftime, right before the Kansas half, which is his only pick. He'll take a sack. He'll look ugly at times, but in this game, don't turn the football over. Yeah, you're right about that. Turnover rate's going to be huge. And to the point you're talking about with Quinn, I do think Quinn is great on early on those underneath throws and the shorter throws. It's going to be interesting. I want to say that Oklahoma's going to dare him at times to throw it deeper, 15-plus yards downfield, because he's actually not great there. I think he's completing 37, almost 38% of his passes, 15-plus yards downfield. That's 77th in the country. That's not great. So I think they may try to smother some of this underneath stuff for Texas too, and force Quinn to try to beat them with some down-the-field shots. And you say, man, that's crazy. But this is a group that has 10 interceptions. They lead the country, actually, in interceptions. So they trust their DBs and they trust their secondary to go out there and make some plays, and they got to gamble. And that's a gamble, but at least you won't, have Texas breaking those big yak yards catches on you. So it's going to be interesting to see how Brent Venables plays. I can't wait to see Brent Venables' game plan. I really can. Agreed. Yeah. And the chess match between he and Sark, we talked about it all week, that, and then tomorrow on Sunday night we get Dan Quinn against Kyle Shanahan. I can't wait for that either. That's a good one. That's a good one, and it's what it's all about. And it should be fun. Hey, come back. We'll hear from the opposing side of this from years gone by, like Colt. Also, some other Texas OU conversation all the way to kickoff. And before the end of the second hour, Rod, we're going to hear from our buddy Tyler McComas, who covers this team on the daily, the Oklahoma side of it, for the Ref up there in Oklahoma City. We'll get some good stuff with him. Also, we'll check in out at the Fieldhouse at the crossover, all the way to kickoff. Texas OU. Coming back.
Sarah Hogan, Rod Babers, the lifetime Longhorn, proud DBU alum, and 4 times played in this game. Had a pick six in one of those. Unfortunately, that turned into a loss. Cole Dixon produces. Appreciate him being here. And, of course, our big watch party out at the Fieldhouse at the Crossover is getting fired up. I know our crew's going to roll in there in about 30 minutes or so, get set up and be ready for the 11 o'clock kick. Fieldhouse at the Crossover. If you've never been there, it's one of those places that if you've never been, once you get there, you're like, dang, why haven't I never been here before? Especially you live out north, even up 183. It's not far. You just run up the 183A toll, get off there, and right where the HEB Center is, and you're there. We always say on a perfect day like this where you want to watch football all day, baseball as well, and you got the kids and they're going to want to be itching to do something, get them out there to the field house, because while you're watching games, they can be tossing the football around on the football field. They can be out on the pickleball courts and sand volleyball, soccer field. I mean, it just keeps going. And you can get out there. And, gosh, for the first morning that we've seen in a long time, the weather is perfect. You want to be outside this morning. You're not sweating. It's not sweltering. So get your kids out there, take the whole family. Great food. They've got food trucks there as well. And, of course, those Bud Light, Michelob Ultra drink specials while we're out there. The perfect, as we've called it, Rod, the watch party of all watch parties, because you're going to be – it's as close to the Cotton Bowl as you can get.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of got some state fair kind of food with the food trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And and then you got the food, great food from the kitchen there at Fieldhouse at the Crossover. And then your kids are busy throwing footballs around. Rod, think about these players, and you played in this game, and they're trying to control their emotions. But on top of the hype of the game, I mean, you got to think these guys, Oklahoma too. It's been one of the hottest summers on record. Yes, to run out this morning and have this. You took a 4-mile jog this morning. It's an invigorating. Take in that deep breath, and you're like, holy cow, let's go play football.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's why veteran teams usually do a lot better, or teams who have experience in this atmosphere, because there's such an emotional charge to it. Love that, the legendary lifetime Longhorns like Dan Neal, said that the only emotional charge they could compare it to when he was playing in the Super Bowl was the Texas OU game. And Big Red Keith Moreland said the same thing about being at the plate in the World Series. Said he kind of felt that same emotional lift and that same emotional high that he felt in the Texas OU game. Those are guys who played at the highest levels, and you can't really reach a mountaintop higher than they reached. They said, "Oh yeah, it reminded me of Texas OU." It's like, that's wild. So that just lets you know how important it is to be able to kind of ride the emotional wave, but don't let the wave of emotion overwhelm you. And it can for young guys. Trust me, I play as a young guy. As an older guy, you understand, all right, once the emotion subsides, it's okay. It becomes a football game. And that usually happens in the middle of the first quarter. But hell, by then, some big plays could have happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Well, and you kind of get out of breath. You're like, oh, man, I'm tired.
Hyperventilating, yeah. By after the first drive, you're like, what the hell's going on? And you're right, just because you've never been in that environment before, it is supercharged, man. There's nothing like it.
Well, and again, when they say it's unlike any other, and it is. I mean, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party can be on par, but it's not close. The history, it's the 119th, Rod.
State fair there too.
And I always say the other thing that they say is unlike any other is the Masters, right, in golf, but it's similar too, because it's got such great history. And it's new players playing the same holes they've grown up watching, right? It's new players taking the Augusta National course. It's never. I mean, they change it, they extend it, but really, it's the same holes that you watched Tiger Woods win on, that you watched Jack Nicklaus and Ben Crenshaw, and all these guys, and how they attack the hole. And so, if you're a golfer in that world and you grew up in it, to be on that course with those galleries and the supercharged environment to trying to execute the biggest golf shots of your life. This is the same thing for a football player like yourself. I mean, you grow up watching this game.
It's sacred ground, man.
Let's hear. I want to play this for you, because when I was driving up to Dallas yesterday for our afternoon show, I heard Jim Rome, who follows us in the morning with Hook 'em Up. He had Gerald McCoy, the great all-time Sooner, right? The defensive tackle, who went off to a great NFL career. Listen to him talking about this. I think you can relate to this, Rod, how his first experience coming to the Texas OU game and what makes it so different. Of course, his side of it, they call it OU Texas. But here's Gerald McCoy, a lifetime Sooner.
You know what, man? Offensively, they can be very explosive, but they haven't been as explosive in past years when the game has been of this magnitude with both highly ranked teams and undefeated teams going into the game. So if our offense can keep moving like they've been moving, putting up a lot of points, I think our defense can hold up. Our defense, I won't say they're great. I'm not going to, jump off the bridge and say, oh, this defense is phenomenal. It's better than it's been in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We're starting off better. The competition we've been playing, if I'm being honest, ain't been high level, but
right.
Even then, in past years, we wouldn't play high competition. Our defense still struggle. They're holding up right now. So if they can just sustain and our offense can score, I think we got a pretty good shot, man. I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as people are saying. I had one of my boys, Christian Sam, I'm shouting you out, giving you a little airtime. He texted me and said, man, I don't know why you online acting like y'all got a shot. They're going to blow y'all out. And I just text back, okay. He was like, why are you so dry? I said, because how I was raised is you have a choice. Everybody has choices. You chose to text me some nonsense. I chose to respond with, okay.
I'm the only one.
So that's how you feel? Okay.
All right, that's him talking about his prediction. Yeah, you
Nice.
you decided to text me some nonsense. You get any texts from any OU guys you know, Rod?
No, they know not to text me nonsense like that. They won't get a response at all. They don't text me something like that. No, you're good. Especially Texas OU week, man. No,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, Lil Gerald coming up on the.
I don't have that many Sooner friends, by the way. Either.
That's good. That's good.
I got a lot of Aggie friends, but not Sooner friends.
Well, and that's what that's a typical thing for a Sooner, right? Because he lives in Dallas, so Longhorn fans still live in Texas. Longhorns still stay in Texas and Austin. And if you grew up and went to Oklahoma, you don't stay in Norman.
No, you smart because
so you get surrounded by a bunch of Sooners. When you come to Texas, okay, you can't avoid them. They live here.
Oh man, yeah. I actually now I'm thinking about it. I got like 2 Sooner friends that I can think of.
That's good.
That's
and you
probably
hardly
bad.
like them. You just pretend. It says, did you drive back and forth last night? Or are you still in Dallas? No, I'm in Austin in our studios here at the Horn. No, it was an easy drive. I was, do it for the cause. We needed to be on the air from Terry Black's barbecue yesterday.
That's good stuff.
Thanks to everybody that came out. Hope everybody had a safe and fun night. I know you filled your gullet with some amazing barbecue. And then, we got some Texas OU talk. It was a great scene. Good spot. Can you say this, Rod? Can you guys talk about the mental pressure side of this, and will the cooler weather benefit OU or Texas?
Well, I don't know if the cooler weather will necessarily benefit either side more so than the other. I guess Texas is deeper and they play more guys. So, but that would have been the case even if it was hot weather. You know what I mean? Like, that's just going to help Texas either way have a better product in the fourth quarter. I'll say this about the mental pressure. Now that there are national title implications, now that you have, both teams coming in undefeated and you do have that national conversation happening about Texas OU, when that is the case, yes, there is a lot of pressure. And when you lose the game, like my man Jerry Hamilton said, it almost feels like your season is over.
And you played in that game when it had national implications on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, and you got to pick yourself off the mat and realize, like, no, the season's not over. It's such a big game, and it's so different than all the other games. It almost feels like it's a
Well, it's a Super Bowl.
It feels like a college football playoff game. It feels like a championship game. It's not, but it feels that way when both teams are coming in undefeated and the national college football world is watching. And I've been on that stage when that is the case, and then you lose, and it is devastating. It's devastating.
How about
and
this?
that's the mental side, the pressure, being able to bounce back from that. That's the key. Don't, like Mac Brown said, don't let that loss beat you twice.
Yeah, you got to rally. Many times on your teams with Mac that y'all did. Y'all played your best football after that game, which is a credit to you guys and to Mac. Well, look, the Big 12, they gifted the Oklahoma Sooners a very easy schedule this year, but at the same time, both teams have bye weeks after this. Both teams are off next week.
That's big. I didn't know Oklahoma had one too.
Yeah, they don't play again until the 21st either against Central Florida.
Then everything
Texas.
you got, baby.
Everything you got.
Everything on the field. All it takes is all you got.
It's better.
It takes is all you got.
Yeah, only better we have the bye week before for both, and then they can really unload the game plan. Hey, we'll come back. There was a Big 12 conference game last night. Bit of a surprise maybe in Stillwater. We'll get you details there. Also, we will hear that Gerald McCoy cut talking about the environment and what is so compelling about it. We will check in with Patrick Davis next hour out at the field house. Update.
Pete Thamel says Watts is officially out.
Watts officially out.
Per a source, he says.
All right, Ryan Watts won't play. Breaking news. That's what we got for you. Texas OU all the way. This is cold weather benefiting the fans, no doubt. No doubt.
Well done.
Well, look, after the summer, and Texas played a game against Rice, there was 160 degrees on the field, right? 160 degrees. With those, ridiculous. That's not safe. I mean, the Wyoming game was a hot game, even though it was night. The Baylor game was warm. This has just have to be a breath of fresh air for everybody, just to get out there and know you can go and not dehydrate within the first quarter and just play some football. Longhorns is a deeper team, though, than Oklahoma, but that could help Oklahoma with their depth challenges in this game.
Sure.
We'll come back. We roll on. We're going all the way to 11 o'clock, getting you ready for kickoff, Texas OU.
Hook 'em up with E and Rod B.
I never go number 2 away from the house, so I never have to worry about that. I always figure if you're doing that away from your house, you planned your day poorly somehow. My day is planned out.
I love it.
Every detail of it, including that. I never get shocked and surprised when I'm hanging out at Applebee's. What the? Oh, I'm never at Taco Bell and I gotta go.
Oh, no.
Can't control when nature calls, but I can.
Just being on the field, Rod, you know how big of an X factor he is to what they do. So also, when Texas kicks off at 11, if you're watching other college football, Ohio State will play Maryland. That's an intriguing game. 5-0 for Maryland, 4-0 for Ohio State. Travion Henderson, their talented young running back, will not play in that game. They'll be down their best back in that one. Also, right at 11, LSU and Missouri, Rod. That's a sneaky, interesting game because if Missouri were to win that game,
Missouri's balling right now.
Eli Drinkwitz, they beat K-State to start the year. earlier in the year, and now LSU, where the Bayou Bengal fans are not real happy with Brian Kelly. They're used to playing great defense at LSU. They don't play great defense right now. And they gave up 50. They gave up a 50 burger against Ole Miss last week.
Throwing on LSU too, which is usually not the case. You got to get
the DBs?
DB play, yeah.
So Missouri, if they're at home and they're a 5.5-point underdog at home to an LSU team that's already lost 2 ball games to Florida State and Ole Miss, we'll see. There's still not a lot of belief in the Missouri Tigers, but we'll see. That one is at least a sneaky, intriguing. There's a bunch of those today. We mentioned Ohio State, Maryland. Is Maryland able to keep it close with the Buckeyes?
And Louisville Notre Dame game is intriguing.
It is. I like the Kansas or the Kentucky Georgia game tonight. Georgia is an interesting ball game because Kentucky just beat the doors off of Florida. Billy Napier's in trouble now. By the way, you don't just go to Kentucky and get hammered like they did. And Ray Davis, their running back. And of course, we know Georgia just hasn't looked as dominant, right? Georgia's a lot more pedestrian than we've seen. They're still good. But, Texas right now is a more explosive team than Georgia with more explosive weapons.
You got to get a quarterback. We've seen that is to me, one of there are kind of two the big storylines of college football this year. The transfer portal and the weaponization of it is one big one. But if you ain't got a quarterback, man, you ain't got a chance. Look at Oklahoma. Look at what happened to Alabama's dynasty. And everybody's like, man, what's going on there? It's like, because they don't have a quarterback right now. That's why they don't look as dominant. Georgia, same thing. What's up with the Big 12? Why does the Big 12 look so weak? What's wrong? Why does it look so weak? Quarterbacks. Where are the quarterbacks? Why does the Pac-12 look so strong? Quarterbacks. I mean, it's just that simple. You got a quarterback. Why does Texas look so dominant the last few weeks? Well, they've been playing backup quarterbacks. Yeah. That's why we're a little anxious going into this game. Well, they're about to play a real quarterback. It's about quarterbacks, man.
Yeah, it is.
That's half the battle.
You got to have one, and you also have to have weapons if you're going to win a national championship. And right now, Brock Bowers for Georgia's, he's amazing, and he carried them to the win over Auburn. He's over 400 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. He and J.T. Sanders, the best 2 tight ends. But they miss A.D. Mitchell, Rod.
Yeah, they do.
Their next receiver has like 200 yards and 1 touchdown. So you have a young quarterback in Carson Beck replacing the legend Stetson Bennett.
Why do you think A.D. Mitchell left? Quarterback. Yeah. He's like, I think I've been throwing me the ball. I'm going to go to this guy Quinn over here and Sark who knows about quarterbacks.
Yeah, I get to be back in my home state, too. Right? Make a little NIL cash. All right, let's do that.
He could have, because he obviously could have been starting there and, been the number 1 wide receiver potentially. He's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll go be number 2 or 3 over here because I'll be next to my family, but also I'll be with a better quarterback.
I will say Sark got off the bus today, and he's got the burnt orange blazer with the white pants, but he's not wearing the racing stripes this time. I like that. Remember when he showed up with the racing stripes?
Like the Burger King?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Burger King employee.
And we said, if you wear that, you got to win.
Yeah, you're going to dress like that, you got to win. See, now it's subtle.
A little more subtle. Still looking sharp, looking smooth. L'Oreal did a good job.
I hope he burned that suit. The one he wore his first year where they had the epic 28-point collapse and meltdown. Yeah, I hope he burned it.
If you're not watching ESPN's College Game Day right now, Matthew McConaughey, the Minister of Culture, is at the desk talking with the guys, getting the Longhorn side of things. Of course, Baker Mayfield, the Sooner, will be making the celebrity picks before the top of that hour.
Guest picker? Yeah,
the guest picker. But Matthew is representing, even though he was at the Colorado game last week, not the Kansas-Texas game. Come on, man.
Hey, you got to go. That's where the stars are.
That's where the stars are. As long as he was repping Texas while he was there.
Yeah, don't forget, he's a star. He's a celebrity. He just happens to be a Longhorn fan, but he's a star. So he had to go. All the stars had to go to Colorado game.
All right, coming up, we'll talk more Texas and hear more from Sark. But let me play this for you, Rod. The Gerald McCoy cut I wanted to play, which is him talking about why this is the best environment. Because someone like Jim Rome, right, lives out in California, national thing. It's a big game. But if you live on either side of this border or within one of them, you understand it's a different animal than most people understand why it's the best route. Here's Gerald McCoy from the Crimson side.
Yeah, it's incredible. Simply because it's not just the game itself and then it's over with. It's a hate of this thing that lasts throughout a lifetime. And to grow up as an OU fan, actually, in the time I grew up, OU Nebraska was the big thing. So I had to learn about OU Texas. But as I got older, got into high school, I started to learn OU Texas is where it's at. And I didn't realize what it was until 2004. We drove down. You could have guys come up for junior day or whatever. And it was Adrian Peterson's first time touching the ball. He goes for 50 down the right sideline. And I said, oh, this is the game. So, when you sign on that dotted line, you already know what this means. That don't mean OU. You know what this means. And pulling up to the stadium is different than walking around the State Fair. You know, you got the fans beating on the bus. They don't know who it is. They don't announce like, oh, this is OU or this is Texas. They just beating on the bus. OU flipping the bus off. Texas flipping the bus off. They don't know. So you figure out who people are as humans right then. Are you a good person, bad person? Some people cheering, some people flipping the bird. But then when you run out that tunnel and it's split literally down the middle, what people don't know is the lockers are like this. OU, Texas, Texas, OU. So when we're getting ready to come out, we're looking at them. And there's just police officers that split us. So when people are like, oh, man, I know they be ready to fight. Man, listen, those 4 police officers cannot keep 105 mutants from fighting each other if we really wanted to, you know. So it's a great game. And it's a great feeling, man. It's no better feeling when you are a Sooner, for sure. I don't know how the Longhorns feel about it, but we love the experience.
There you go, Ron. Pretty good stuff from either side of it. You lived it 4 times.
No, he's right about that, man. There's nothing like it. And I didn't experience it either until, I got to Texas. And I really didn't know about the Texas OU game. And I'll admit, I think Mac Brown and Bob Stoops brought it back.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was in a lull. And then
when
Bob
you were coming
Stoops,
through high school, it was not a huge game.
Exactly. And Bob Stoops wins the national title in his second year. And then Mac Brown has to respond. And I think the Mac Brown response to it was, man, we got to stockpile because we got to match that energy over there at Oklahoma because that's our rival. And then both of those, it kind of built up both of those programs, and both of them were competing for national titles year after year, and that game catapulted one team into the national championship conversation, and it was devastating because it really just killed the dreams and hopes of another team who wanted to be in that national championship conversation, and it happened year after year. 3 of the 4 years I played in it, those were the implications.
Yeah, that was the catapult.
Yeah.
Did you sense in your time with Mac, because I felt like covering him back then, that maybe he tried to just – and Mac was a historian of the game. He understood how big that game was.
Yes, he did.
But did he coach it early like it was just another game? And
No, he recruited you talking about
okay, good.
Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma, Texas A&M. He did.
Because you're right. And Mac won the first one against Stoops, and then Stoops turned it and took the upper hand and won a national championship.
Almost lost the first one because that was the Mike Leach dummy script game, but that in the tailpipe.
Legend.
And he got down double digits. The only win I had, and he almost lost that one. Think about if he lost that one, how his tenure was. So he might not have made it.
Yeah, for folks who don't know that story that Rod's talking about, because we talk about it all the time, Mike Leach was the offensive coordinator of that Oklahoma team, and your first experience,
99.
And he left. Colby, he left a dummy play
He dropped it out of his back pocket intentionally.
Oh no!
While walking by the Texas sideline.
And they picked it up, and
Tom Herman and Oscar Giles actually picked it up and brought it to
we're GAs. We can make a name for ourselves. We got the script.
They got the script,
and it was a dummy script. It was the
brilliant.
Reverse Johnny.
Brilliant move by Mike Leach,
and it damn near worked.
They fell for it.
Well, hey, listen, this is where Brett Venables is. I started the hour saying that this is talent belongs to Texas in a better way. They've got good players at Oklahoma. Texas has the better players.
Scheme it up, baby.
You've got to be ready for anything.
You know what?
Don't
that would be great. Jeff Lebby should do it as a tribute to Mike Leach. He should walk by the Texas sideline and drop a dummy script.
That would be great.
Wouldn't he great?
Yeah, since we lost out Coach.
You lost Coach Leach, and he's still from the tree, the air raid tree. He should do it, even though Texas would know it. He should just drop it down there and be like a tribute to Mike Leach.
That would be awesome. You're right about that.
That would be really cool.
That would be cool because he lost Coach last December, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And there'll never be another one like Mike Leach, because who would think to do that? Coaches, it's not how coaches think.
It's so brilliant, though, right? It's simplistically brilliant.
But in every way, that's what made Mike Leach such a gem, because he just didn't think like any other coach you'd ever been around.
Could you imagine his reaction when he knows that Texas?
Their fat little girlfriends too bad.
When he knows Texas fell for it, and when he goes to talk to Bob Stoops after, hey, they fell for it, Bob. I got him.
And we still couldn't beat him. Damn it.
Still couldn't be. Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We've got one more hour to go. We'll check in out at the field house at the crossover. We'll also, hey, man, get you ready for Tyler McComas from the other side, right? Keep your enemies close, or your friends close, but your enemies closer. We'll get the north of the Red River perspective on this game, what the chances are, and how Oklahoma can find a win. Longhorns, of course, ready to go up there and get a victory in about 1 hour. Texas and OU. Hey, it's Aaron Hogan. Make sure you're locked in every morning for Austin's only live local sports conversation, 5 hours a day, 5 mornings a week. Of course, I'm joined every morning by the lifetime legendary Longhorn Rod Babers, our producer Ty Henderson. It's a great crew. Make it a fixture on your radio dial on 101.9 and AM 1260, and join us at hornfm.com and on the Horn app every morning from 6 to 11, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. Again, it's Austin's only morning sports conversation in the ATX.
Mornings with E and Rod B. The Horn.
Can't bow wow, bring your schnauzer and your chow. Can't bow wow, bring your dachshund and your hound. Can't bow wow, we're all having fun now at Camp Bow Wow.
Bring your dog in for fall spa treatments. We have de-shedding, nail trims, full-service bathing, everything but the cut. Get your spot reserved for Thanksgiving and Christmas. 833-DOG-LIFE. 833-364-5433. Play all day, snooze the night away.
You don't have to have a pedigree to be treated like a celebrity.
Located off Limmer Loop, 1 block west of 130 in Hutto. Make your reservation online at campbowwow.com/Hutto and download our mobile app where you can watch your pup play. That's campbowwow.com/Hutto.
At Camp Bow Wow. Real Texans are genius.
Bud Light salutes you, overly dedicated Texas Longhorn fan.
How come?
You show up to every UT football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, and ball-related sport there is.
Ping pong.
Each game, you slather your entire body in burnt orange.
Every nook and cranny.
Yes, you're brewed in Texas, and so is your Bud Light. Enjoy responsibly. Texas Edition Bud Light beer cans. Anheuser-Busch, Houston, Texas.
Ironworkers Local 482, building Central Texas since 1935. You see their skilled craftsmanship every day with Austin iconic landmarks like UT Memorial Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. Ironworkers Local 482 Union is hiring 3,000 people right now for a huge new project. Enjoy full benefits, a pension, and a rewarding career. Becoming a member of Ironworkers Local 482, you accept the challenge to give your best each day while shaping Austin's economic development. Apply today at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org.
You're listening to KTAE AM Elgin, K270CO Round Rock, Texas Sports. The Horn. The Horn.
Here's our game plan.
Now on The Horn, it's the Horn Pregame Show with Aaron Hogan and Rod Babers.
Hey, let's go with the field level at the Cotton Bowl. Chris Fowler is talking with Brett Venables, the Oklahoma coach, on the field. Let's get a little live Nat sound.
Can't be any better than that at this point. But you said you don't think you're playing like a championship caliber football team yet. You're taking steps. What steps today, Brett, do you need to see to put them in the right direction?
Well, it's everything. Handling the moment. Find a way to win. Number one, that's our goal. Get 1-0 today. As you know, after today, half of our season will be finished in the regular season. We'll have a chance to be 6-0. We still have the back half of our season. So, this is about being present in the moment, improving, getting better. Texas is a really, really good football team. It's going to be a great, great challenge. But through it all, you need challenge to have change that you need. And we got to continue to grow. We're not anywhere close to what, the vision is. But our players have they worked hard. They've incredibly invested. I love what we've done for the last 12 months with this group of guys since we were here last. A lot of growth, a lot of development, a lot of new faces. And to get something that they've never had, you got to be willing to do something that they've never done. And so these guys are willing to do that and pay the price today.
Appreciate your time. Enjoy the moments today.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
All right, there you go. Field level at the Cotton Bowl. Pretty good stuff right there with Brett Venables. His team was smothered 49-0 last year. I also saw a picture online on Twitter's, on the X's, Rod, of the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, on the field pregame.
It's his game right now, man.
And he was shaking hands with Joe Castiglione. Yeah, and Joe Castiglione looks like Paul Brown or something. He's got the fedora on. He's got the full tie.
He does look old school.
He looks old school.
He should be playing in Mad Men.
Yeah. Well, that was, the great Paul Brown, who founded the Cleveland Browns and helped kind of invent football. He used to look, there were Ohio State coaches that looked like that. Earl Bruce used to do that. Mm-hmm. And Joe Castiglione, the AD at Because, as much as they're rivals, and you heard Gerald McCoy, well, let's go to Sark. Sark's now with Chris Fowler.
Let's practice it, and then let's go execute it Saturday.
So many guys have to step up, but there's a big focus on the quarterback position. Dylan Gabriel, for them, very experienced, but it's his first time playing in this game. Quinn Ewers played last year. He was so quiet, Sark, so focused in our meeting. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I guess he knows how to get his mind right for the challenge here, and he passed a huge test already at Tuscaloosa.
Well, I think Quinn is part of the reason why the rest of the team kind of focuses that way. He is not a very emotional guy. The fire comes out, obviously, but he's so dialed in throughout the week and the day before and the morning of that I think our team has kind of assumed that personality as well.
Appreciate your time. Enjoy the moment today. Which is a challenge for these coaches. Sark, by the way, played the final game of his college career.
There you go.
That's good. I mean, it does.
John Wick.
We talked about the emotion, of this game and how it's such an emotionally charged environment. And for a guy like Quinn, his natural disposition is someone who can, operate in a more pragmatic, kind of rational, cerebral manner and not get caught up with the emotion. Some quarterbacks do. And we see him, get hype about plays and get excited. You should do that, get excited about your work. But I think it is actually a benefit to him that in a game, in big games like Bama against Oklahoma, maybe he doesn't have to worry about the emotional charge as much because it's not really in his nature to ride the emotional wave. And by the way, Longhorn fans, we criticize that a little bit too. Somebody's like, he's so lackadaisical. He seems a little lethargic out there at times. Seems like, sometimes he doesn't have a sense of urgency all the time. And maybe that is the case, but I think that's just him being consistent in his disposition and his football character, that he doesn't get too high or too low with anything.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. And that's a good thing. It is good. And sometimes Longhorn fans early learning Quinn Ewers have taken it as maybe aloofness or he's not as fired up as I am.
Much?
He didn't care.
What's his passion?
He's just here for the NIL money or whatever. No, I don't think that's the case. He wants to win this game. And, of course, he's one of the many, many Metroplex area kids playing in this game in Dallas. Growing up watching that game. And, whatever side you end up picking, if you grow up in the Metroplex, this game is a big deal every October just in Dallas. I mean, I was up there yesterday. Listening to sports talk radio, and it's a huge conversation. And the Cowboys are playing the Niners, Rangers are in the playoffs, and they're still talking about this game too. And that's the kids grow up with that, understanding it, so they know it's a big time to ball out. And there's a lot of dudes on both sides of the ball in this game that are from that Metroplex. Longhorns with DJ Campbell at right guard, Quinn Ewers. Just keep going down the list. JT Sanders and Manny Muhammad from South Oak Cliff.
Yep.
I mean, I drove right down I-35 and 20 yesterday because the app took me up 20 over to 45 when I was going to Terry Black's. I mean, you're driving by, Duncanville, South Oak Cliff, Red Oak. I mean, all those schools down there in South Dallas that are producing a ton of talent, and Sark is doing a great job of building that pipeline into the Big D. And this is a big game for that. It's a Longhorn home game. So it is a recruiting game for Texas.
You'll have a lot of those guys who will be experiencing this game for the first time on that sideline, and man, it can be intoxicating. But also, in Oklahoma, if they end up pulling off the upset and Oklahoma looks good, it can also blow up in your face. Because those guys can go, hey, man, I might want to be on the other side of this rivalry.
Well, and for Quinn, a Metroplex guy who's played in this game and won at 49 zip, played one of his best games in this building. Then there's Dylan Gabriel, who is the best quarterback Texas has faced without a doubt. And he's, as we said, it's a pass-first offense. It's built around him. So you have to deal with he and his receivers. They're going to try to create some individual matchups that they want to attack. And if Texas can do a good job against that, they'll have a real good chance in this game. But Dylan Gabriel hasn't played in this game. He was there last year. He was out on the field warming up, but he was still woozy from the TCU collision and the head shot he took a week earlier. So he's experienced being around the game. He hasn't played in the game yet.
Yeah, just since 1990, first time starting quarterbacks in the Texas-Oklahoma game who are going up against quarterbacks who have starting experience in the Texas-OU game. There are only 4 quarterbacks who have been able to pull off a win in that situation as a first-time starter going up against a more experienced starter in the Texas-OU game specifically. Spencer Rattler, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fuente, and Sam Bradford. That's since 1990. Now, that's not saying a first-time starter can't win the game. We saw that from, Quinn Ewers, first-time starter win the game. Yeah, first-time starter can win the game, but going up against a veteran starter, exactly. The last 2 times we've had that happen, the first-time starters won the game. They haven't been going up against a veteran starter who's already been in this matchup and has played in this game. That's the case now, where Quinn Ewers is a veteran who's performed at a really high level in the Texas OU game, going up against Dillon Gabriel, who has not started in the Texas OU game. And like I said, only 4 quarterbacks since 1990 have been able to win in that situation. So quarterbacks who have experience in Texas OU have a huge advantage historically. Less experienced quarterbacks are, I think they have they're 3-14-1 since 1990 in that same time span. It's just not the same.
Well, and last year, whoever won was going to be a first-year quarterback, right? And that's been the case the last several years. But Dillon Gabriel is an experienced quarterback. He just hasn't experienced this game as a player yet as far as playing in it. Real quick from last night, if you missed it, at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma State beat Kansas State 29-21. They won the football game. There were some rumors out of Stillwater that locker room was kind of abandoning Mike Gundy, and that thing was falling apart. But Alan Bowman went out and played a really good game, threw for 235 yards. Their running back, Gordon, had a big night, ran for 136 yards. They got their running game going. Ollie Gordon, the second, and he had a nice game. And they won that game, and I thought K-State would win that game in Stillwater. Right? I think the defending Big 12 champions. That's a disappointing performance by them.
Yeah, no, I
3 interceptions for Will Howard.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't believe that Oklahoma State found a way to win that game. I would have picked K-State to win overwhelmingly, but Oklahoma State, when they're a home underdog, you got to watch out for Gundy. Gundy's just a hell of a coach. How about this stat? The Cowboys have pulled off the upset in 8 of the last 9 games as a home underdog with Mike Gundy as the head coach. When they're at home and people are counting them out, that's usually when Mike Gundy's at his best, and he pulled off another one.
Well, and that's why. Gosh, whoever wins
Thank
this
God
game.
Texas ain't got to play him. I'm done. I'm tired of playing Mike Gundy.
I know. Because Will Howard threw 3 picks. That place is a weird place, man. It's just, having been there last year, you played in that stadium. It's a weird. It
is, man. It's
nowhere that I've ever been around are the fans so on top of the crowd. On top
it's like a college basketball game.
Yes. And the stadium, I have to assume as a quarterback and a player, it just seems like everything's on top of you. Your depth perception.
You can hear the fans' conversations.
Yes, it's so weird.
Clearly hear their conversation. And if you're too loud, they can hear yours. They definitely can.
I know you're used to being out on your field and your environment, but it seems like everything's compressed. Is this really a 100-yard field? Is this really 53 across? Or what are we doing?
Yep.
And it's definitely a home advantage at Boone Pickens Stadium for them. So they win that game. It just exacerbates the point that the winner of this game is in such a driver's seat position, especially if it's Texas. If they win this game, Rod, they are staring at a schedule the rest of the way. Look, another big game tonight is Texas Tech and Baylor, but the winner of that game is going to be 3-3. Overall, they're not really in the race in the Big 12. Texas already owns a win over Kansas, the only other ranked team at the time. Winner of this game, with both having bye weeks coming up, are sitting there in the catbird seat because I don't want to say they won't be challenged, but K-State, we weren't sure what we were getting out of the defending Big 12 champs. They've been disappointing so far this year. BYU's on the Texas schedule to come. Houston, TCU at Fort Worth kind of worries you, but they can't figure out what they're doing offensively right now at TCU or defensively. Iowa State and Texas Tech.
No. The rest of Texas schedule is just a trap schedule. The whole damn thing.
Yes.
Now. At what point, because all of these teams now are just playing spoiler. So now the rest of every damn game is a trap game now for Texas after the Oklahoma game. If you take care of business, I'm assuming they take care of business.
If you show up and play
if you take care of business here in Oklahoma, every damn game for the rest of the season for Texas will be a trap game.
Until the Big 12 championship game, which probably...
We're playing Oklahoma again. The way it's looking. Because K-State don't look like they just don't look like the same team from last season. Even with Will Howard as the quarterback, they lost too much. It looks like losing Deuce Vaughn, losing, the cornerback Julius Brents. They lost like 2 or 3
Felix
really good
and
players.
Uduke Uzoma, their big rush in.
Great job. Yeah, they lost a lot of guys, and it looks like that is having a very much a detrimental effect on them this year.
Well, by the way, and the new teams into the Big 12 so far have added a lot. They're 1-7 in the Big 12 play. 1-7. BYU's the only one with a win. UCF 0-2, Cincinnati 0-2, Houston 0-2.
You see why Brady Yarmark ain't showing up to the Texas OU game? You see why he ain't showing up? Chest poking out. He's like, nah, I'm good.
I'm out.
I'm out.
All right, quick timeout. We come back. It'll be Patrick Davis live from the field house. Also, Ryan, we'll hear from Tyler McComas from the Ref Radio up in Oklahoma City, previewing the Oklahoma side of this. Still to come on the Texas pregame. It's game day, folks. Texas OU. Hook 'em.
Hey everyone, you know we love all the texts you guys send us. So we want to tell you about our new Horn text line number. Make sure you save the new number 512-447-3776 to keep sending us all of your comments, questions, and more. We're always trying to find the best way to connect with y'all. So make sure to remember the new number, 512-447-3776. It's 512-447-3776. And thanks for listening to The Horn. Winning season is here, and there are plenty of opportunities to win at MyBookie. Will the Dallas-San Fran game go over the total points, or can Micah Parsons and the dominating Dallas defense keep the San Fran offense at bay? As a bettor, you demand perfection, and MyBookie delivers. NFL, college football, and a brand new cash-out system give you options to bet and win all season.
Horn Pregame Show with Aaron Hogan and Rod Babers.
All right, welcome back to the Horn Pregame Show for the Texas-Oklahoma game. And yes, we are nearing closer. 43 minutes away from kickoff of the Texas-Oklahoma game. We're going to give you the pregame coverage leading up to it. I want to get into some audio a little bit later on. We mentioned earlier the Mike Leach, my only win against Oklahoma. So I would have to admit, that's a shameful thing to admit, was in 1999, my first year. We got down double digits, and it was because Mike Leach famously made a dummy script and dropped it out of somehow in front of the Texas sideline, and then Texas fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I found some audio actually of Mike Leach and company telling the story. Hopefully, Cole, it's clean. I didn't even listen to it. I just found it. Hopefully it's clean. If not, then we'll dump it, and then we'll, who cares? All right, we'll have some fun with that.
Happy and entitled.
Because we want to hear Mike Leach. Mike Leach puts everybody in a better mood. Even Cole admitted, he was like, no, listening to Mike Leach just tell stories puts me in a great mood. So we'll have the late, great Mike Leach actually tell that story, and then we'll bring up my only dub versus Oklahoma. So I want to celebrate that because I'm expecting a dub today from Texas versus Oklahoma. Wilk, let's talk about the game plan just really quickly. Also, we're going to check in with my man Patrick Davis coming up a little bit later on next segment, because he is hosting the watch party with my man Jacob from the field house at the crossover. So we'll get into that coming up a little bit later on, and you can find out where you need to be watching the game if you're here in the ATX. All right. let's start with a pre-game nuggets that I found, right? And these are something I found last night, just doing some deep dive research. I probably should have been done doing research on this game because I'm tired of talking about it, tired of analyzing. But here's something I found that was really interesting. Oklahoma, they're actually one of the 4 teams in college football right now who are top 25 in forcing third and longs on defense and avoiding third and longs on offense. There is no question if forcing third and longs and avoiding third and longs are going to be big for the Texas offense and the Texas defense. And here's why. For Texas defense specifically, they got to get Dillon Gabriel on third and longs, because if they can do that, it means they stop the running game. And they've made Oklahoma one-dimensional. And if they can make Oklahoma one-dimensional, then Dillon Gabriel, I think, at that point, he's going to have to put his cape on and make some Superman-like plays. You can kind of force him to playing hero ball, which I don't think any quarterback can win against Texas just playing hero ball. Those kind of quarterbacks right now, unless one of those quarterbacks in the Pac-12 country, which I'm about elite quarterback play. Caleb Williams could do it, but no quarterback Texas is facing right now can beat Texas playing hero ball. And that's what Jalen Milroe was kind of forced into with Alabama, playing some hero ball. I'll give you another stat. Dillon Gabriel, 71.4%. 71.4% of his dropbacks are lead to a throw from the pocket with no pressure. So over 71%, damn near 72% of his dropbacks, all right, lead to a throw from the pocket with no pressure at all. That's the 6th best number in the country. So he's been in the pocket relatively, clean. He hasn't been harassed. He hasn't been under duress. And this Texas defensive line and Texas defensive front will definitely be easily the best one that he's faced. But you can't really tee off on him until you get him in a predictable passing situations, which is third and long. Think about it against Kansas. Texas had 0 sacks against Kansas because they dominated against Kansas, but Kansas was able to run the ball a little bit early on, and Texas, they moved the pocket with a mobile quarterback. So there are things you can do. Now, they didn't have much success in the passing game. It did, have a deep shot here or there. But I do think against Oklahoma, if Texas can't put pressure on them, and I think they will, they can't put pressure on Dillon Gabriel, then that's when you get the very accurate, you get the very decisive Dillon Gabriel. And like I said, he knows his offense intimately. He knows the veer and shoot offense that he plays in better than any other quarterback knows their offense in the country. And you got to make him uncomfortable early and make him uncomfortable often. And like I said, a big part of that is getting him in third and longs, which they avoid as well as any team in the country. So you got to get him in third and longs. It's going to be big. That means you're stopping the run on early downs. And then you got to get pressure on him. And as I pointed out, over 70% of his passes that he's thrown has been without pressure on him. That's got to change. Speaking of pressure, on the flip side of that, Oklahoma, can they apply pressure to Texas and Quinn Ewers? I'm not really sure. Can they do it organically is the question. 17.4% of that is the pressure rate for Oklahoma's defense when they don't blitz. That's 118th in the country. That's not a good number. So they got to blitz just to create some pressure on Quinn Ewers. And usually Quinn Ewers is good against the blitz because it does define everything for him, cleans up the picture for him. But if you can confuse him about where those blitzes and extra defenders are coming from, second-level defenders and maybe cornerback blitzes, my man Jerry Hamilton talk about, then maybe you could, show Quinn something that he hasn't seen. You show him something he hasn't seen, as we've talked about. That's when it takes him longer to process things. He's a little bit more indecisive. He's got to go through his progressions. And the deeper he gets to his progressions, the better it is for the opponent. At least that has been the case for the early development of Quinn Ewers. He's still maturing and becoming a much better quarterback. But I think for Texas passing game, it'll be interesting to see early on if they go with a quick, high percentage passing game, getting the ball out of his hands really quickly. But when Texas wants to throw the ball downfield, which I know Texas wants to do at times, be interesting to see how Oklahoma decides to pressure Quinn. They can do it via the blitz. I think they have to. But what does that blitz look like? And that's about getting them in third and long. And Oklahoma is really good at forcing teams into third and long situations. So that's something to watch. Third and long period in this game, and whether each team can apply and whether they can block the pressure of the opposing side. Because Oklahoma, right now, I think that's going to be their test, is whether they can get to Quinn before Quinn can get the ball to the weapons that I think for Oklahoma are going to be, I think, too much to defend if Quinn has time. X-Man, A.D. Mitchell. We'll see if J.T. Sanders is healthy. If J.T. Sanders is healthy, that's another weapon. If not, Jay Witt can be added to that list. Still, even without J.T. Sanders, I still think the array of weapons for Texas, too much for Oklahoma's secondary, even though it's much improved. But if Brent Venables can make Quinn Ewers, all right, an indecisive quarterback early on, and I think he'll figure it out, but that's kind of the key. And I think then you have to worry about him getting the ball to all of his weapons and the yak yards they can get. You can just take the head off the snake, and that's Quinn. And so that's what I can't wait to see what. And even we played the Colt McCoy sound. Colt McCoy even said, Brent Venables will show you something you haven't seen. And early on, when Quinn has been presented with a picture on the field that he hasn't been prepared for and seen on film, that's when he starts slow. I'm not saying he has a bad game, but he starts slow, and a slow start for Quinn is a slow start for Texas. All right, so let's, before we get to the break, because I want to get to my man Patrick, because he's going to tell us all about the watch party at the Fieldhouse. Cole, do you have the sound ready from Mike Leach? Okay, so we were talking earlier about Mike Leach and his brilliant plan, the late, great Mike Leach and his brilliant plan, which almost worked, to drop a dummy script in front of the Texas sideline in 1999 and have the Texas GAs, coaches, find it intentionally and then them fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. We actually found some audio of Mike Leach. I think it's like 2 minutes or so, but it's pretty good. Mike Leach and Oklahoma players, former coaches, talking about that 1999 diabolical plan of Mike Leach. Here it is.
We wanted to just see how honest Texas was, so we decided to write up a script, a dummy script.
The challenge for Leach in the decoy script was to come up with complementary plays to the actual one. So if you were running a play to the left, you wanted the decoy script to say something was going to the right.
The next part of the plot? Call it the drop. Leach used one of his players pregame to deploy the decoy, so Texas would be sure to find it.
He's like, I want you to run past their sideline, and as you're running up the tunnel, I want you to take the script and act like you're putting it in your belt loop and let it fall out onto the ground. It was kind of the first real espionage I'd ever been a part of.
One of their GAs is wandering by and, oh, what's this? A piece of paper. He looks at it and his eyes get kind of big and he sort of hides it and looks around to see if anybody saw him get it.
Sure enough, the fake play script made its way straight to the Texas locker room.
We all thought it was real because we thought that the alternative would be just so far-fetched that somebody would go through the trouble to create a fake call sheet and actually leave it and drop it, where we would find it.
Carl Reese takes it up to the press box. He starts studying the script, trying to figure out what defense they're going to call to match up the script.
When I wasn't calling defenses, I was looking at it, and it was a huge distraction.
And on the second play of the game, the script says double reverse pass.
We were trying to get them over there to the left. We hit Savage, and everybody was over to the left, and Savage was to the right.
So on first down, Hyper wide open is the freshman Savage. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
It's very hard in the course of a football game to go back and see a wide receiver at any level of football that wide open.
Going up top, Jackson one-on-one, turns around with a catch to the end zone.
As the game went on, it was a catastrophe.
By the time it was 17-0 Sooner.
That was great. I love it. That is fantastic. Oh, man. That's my man. You heard Tom Herman in there because Tom Herman, I believe him and Oscar Giles found the script. And then you heard Carl Bull Reese, he's a defensive coordinator at the time, my defensive coordinator, talking about, I was looking at the script while calling plays. My man Ahmad Brooks was on there because he was starting in the secondary. I was actually the nickelback, so I was coming off the bench. And he's talking about how the coaches were aligning the guys so that they could defend the script. And guys ended up wide open, got down 17-0 in that game, came back and won it. That's one of the greatest stories in the history of Texas OU, only because Texas won. If we didn't, I would not be playing that sound, and I'd be crying today because that means I'll be over versus Oklahoma. But shout out to the late great Mike Leach, the dummy script. Oh man, that almost worked. It almost got Texas. All right, we come back. We'll get. Oh, you know what? And Jeff Levy, who is still connected because he's on the air raid coaching tree, and his father-in-law is Art Browse, who's an air raid guy too. And he still runs that veer and shoot offense that Art Browse ran. He should today, out of a salute and an homage to Mike Leach, he should make a dummy script and drop it off on the Texas sideline. Just a shout out to Mike Leach. Just. You know what I mean? Just a tip of the cap. Because I don't know if there's a greater story, honestly, in Texas OU history. That's got to be top 5. That's a top 5 story, too. That's fantastic. He got his players involved. He got the players involved in the espionage. Had them drop the script. It was brilliant. Oh, and if it had worked, it'd have been all-time great. We don't appreciate it because it didn't totally work. Thank God it didn't. All right, we come back. We'll talk to my man Patrick Davis over at the Fieldhouse, the crossover, more breakdown of Texas, Oklahoma, and I'll give you more keys to the game. All that and more, the Horn pregame right here on the Horn.
Hook 'em up with E and Rod B.
Space tourism is happening, Rod, so now space sex is going to be a thing.
Hold on, so Mile High Club, now what are we calling this club?
250 Mile High Club.
There's all types of ideas I got to come up with as to how not to impregnate a woman but have sex.
How do you do that like zero gravity? What are you doing?
The Kama Sutra, you can explore all different types of floating around. Oh, that's great.
The dreidel. Hook 'em up with E and Rod B. Morning 6 to 11 on the Horn.
Folks, imagine selling your home and getting paid twice. I know what you're saying, E, that sounds good, but how's that even possible? To sell your home and get paid 2 times? You can do it with Orchard. It's simple. Orchard makes you a solid cash offer on your home. If you agree, boom, here's your cash for your next home. Orchard handles everything from there, including paint, repair, they'll list and show your home. And if your home then sells for more than Orchard offered you, you get the cash upside. That bears repeating. When your home sells for more than Orchard offered you, you'll get that money too. So you get paid twice. And that happens 97% of the time with Orchard. Look, in this Austin market, with so many home buying companies trying to lowball you, Orchard is the outlier. They pay you on the upside when your old home sells for more. So let me ask you again, do you want to get paid twice to sell your home? I know I would, but how's that even possible? So learn how to get paid twice and get a free valuation at Orchard.com. That's Orchard.com. One more time, Orchard.com.
Due to overwhelming response, Diamonds Direct's most popular finance offer ever is being extended. You now have until this Saturday at 5 p.m. to take advantage of this once-a-year offer. Now through Saturday, make any purchase and you can spread your payments over 5 years with 0 finance charges. No interest for 5 whole years. Where else in America can you get a finance rate of 0.0? That means a $10,000 engagement ring is just $167 a month, or an $8,000 pair of diamond stud earrings comes to around $135 a month. Everything's included. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, all designer fashion jewelry, colored gemstone jewelry, GIA.
It's the Horn Pregame Show with Aaron Hogan and Rod Babers.
Welcome back to the Horn pregame, getting ready for the Texas-Oklahoma matchup. Yeah, folks, we are less than 30 minutes away from the start of the Texas-Oklahoma game, and we're giving you all the details, all the keys to the game, all the nuggets about the matchup. Right now, we're actually going to give you some details about the place you need to be to watch the Texas-OU game in case you are not there in Dallas. And my man Patrick Davis, host of the Sports Complex, 5 to 7 weekdays, right here on The Horn. He's joining us right now. What's going on, Patrick? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. It is already starting to get full out here. People are already coming out. The parking lot's almost already full, but there's still some spaces out here at the field house. People are piling in. There's that game. I got to walk outside because the game's already playing. They already got the speakers playing on the big screen outside. Wow. The weather is perfect. It's hoodie weather, the best weather of the year.
Yeah, man, it's great weather for guys like us because we sweat a lot.
We do. I know exactly, and now I've got a hoodie on, so now I got to manage throughout the game if it gets a little bit warm. But it's supposed to be nice throughout the entire game out here. We got Bud Light specials, bucket specials, Michelob Ultra bucket specials. They're going to be giving away prizes after every quarter if you come out here and sign up.
Nice.
So lots of cool stuff going on out here, and the big screen is a big screen. If you've never been here, it's going to be bigger than a lot of screens you're going to find to watch this game.
It's a movie theater. It's like a movie theater screen, and the big kind. No, it really is.
Exactly.
Have you been out there at the field house at the crossover before? It's your first time?
This is the second time. I've been out here once before because I came out to check it out once, but I was only here for about 10 minutes. Had a beer before going to something somewhere else.
Oh, you're going to love it.
I'm excited to watch a game out here.
Yeah, it's a great spot to watch it because you can switch up your locations. Like you can watch the game outside for the first quarter, go inside for the second quarter, go kick it. It's such an expansive facility. Man, you could really watch it in 4 different spots just at that one location, man. They got different bars inside and outside. And if you got kids and a family, you already see, Patrick, you can see where the kids can love it too because they got plenty of activities for the kids to wear themselves out. It's like different sports fields all over that place.
Exactly, all the activities, and then you can get the little arcade inside too.
Oh, nice!
It's just everything you could ever want right out here at the field house. It's gonna be fun. I'm still a little nervous about it, Rod, because we keep saying we're even looking past the game now.
No.
Getting a little nervous. We're like, well, the rest of the game is trapped. Come on, man, we got Texas OU coming up. It's going to be big.
Okay, so
I want to bring.
Go ahead.
You guys mentioned earlier about recruiting.
Okay.
You guys mentioned about recruiting earlier and how big it is.
Yeah.
Think of the name Colton Vosick.
It's true.
Who was on the OU sideline last year?
Yeah. Big.
Who was the OU recruit last year, and he's wearing the burnt orange this year. So it is a big game for recruiting as well. There's just one simple example of he saw Texas whoop them 49-0 last year. It was like, you know what? I don't want to wear that jersey. I'm not with these guys no more.
That's true. It's a good point. I think I think Adrian Peterson is a famous story about that too. That he was there for Texas and then decided after watching Oklahoma, you know what? I think I'm gonna go to the other side. There's a little bit more hype over there. So yeah, if you're hosting recruits, you better show up. Okay, so give me your. I haven't asked for your prediction yet. Are you ready to make a prediction?
I'm going 38-16.
Okay, well then why are you so freaked out and stressed out there? You're going with a blowout.
Hey, look, if you go back and look at me and Jacob picking scores every week, you may find that I am not 100% correct.
I'm just saying, you're paranoid. You're paranoid, though, and you got them beating them by 22.
Look, we want to see this. We asked everybody on the poll yesterday on the Sports Complex what quarter is the biggest. Basically, first and fourth split the vote that it's going to matter. But this first quarter, because we've all said it's the most important for Oklahoma. So if Texas can win the first quarter, and we know it's the most important for Oklahoma, I think that'll set a lot of people at ease.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the thing about Oklahoma in the first quarter is I believe they're the best Power 5 team in the country when it comes to first quarter point differential. They're at plus 15. So they actually have really good first quarters. Texas is one of the top 10 best teams in the country in second half scoring and in fourth quarter scoring. So we're going to see. I'm with you. I think first and fourth easily the most important quarters, but the first is more important for Oklahoma. The fourth will be more important for Texas.
Exactly. I agree. But that's what I'm saying. If you win the first, then it looks a little bit smoother sailing. I think I can relax a little and enjoy some of the fine beverages out here at the field house.
Damn right. Yeah, you might need them beverages anyway. You might be stress drinking, drowning your sorrows if the local ones don't come to play. But I think we all believe they don't come to play. All right, Patrick. Well, any last words for the people or for myself before I let you go? Because I know you're busy. You got stuff going on. You just got there. You're trying to get set up.
We're trying to get set up. Come on out and say hey. If you see me, I'm wearing a gray Texas hoodie that says Texas across the front. So come say hey. If you're out here, want to talk to everybody while we're out here, get registered for some cool prizes, drink some good beers, hook 'em horns, and OU still sucks.
Damn right. That's a great way to end it. Thank you, Patrick. Have a great time, buddy.
Thank you, brother. All
right, that is Patrick Davis, host of the Sports Complex. You can catch it 5 to 7 weekdays right here on the Horn. Yeah, Patrick's he's got him beating him by more points than I do. He's all paranoid and freaking out. My score, I believe I was at 34 to 23 or 33 to 24. I'm not sure which one I threw out there, but it's right around there. I could see it being close until the fourth quarter. Texas separates with their depth on their roster and just their overall talent. And Texas has been a second-half team this year. 4 of the 5 games that they've won this year came down to them separating in the second half. All right, coming up next, and we'll get to an interview with Tyler McComas, who covers Oklahoma up in Oklahoma. So he'll give us some of the behind enemy lines nuggets and details about this matchup. One other thing, though, I think is going to be big, and I've talked about this. Well, I'll give you a couple of things that'll be big before we get to the Tyler McComas interview that we had. The reason that I feel confident for Texas in this game is because Texas is definitely the more experienced team in this Texas-Oklahoma game. We've talked about the talent, and we talked about the fact that Texas has been battle-tested, all right, winning on the road in Tuscaloosa versus Alabama. Oklahoma has not been battle-tested. This will be the litmus test, the big test for Oklahoma. But first-year quarterbacks, in the Texas OU game, first-time starters in the Texas OU game was Dylan Gabriel versus quarterbacks who have started and have experience in this game. Since 1990, only 4 quarterbacks have won as first-time starters going up against veteran quarterbacks who have experience. So I feel good about Texas there. The rushing game, all right, the rushing battle, that's going to be big since 1999. The winner of the rushing battle in the Texas OU game is 21-2-1. And Texas right now has their running game. It's trending in the right way. It's not peaking yet, but hell, it could crescendo. It could peak in this game. Jonathan Brooks right now running like one of the best running backs in the country. That's good for Texas. Also, I like the turnover. Now, this is also something that can go both ways because Oklahoma is leading the Big 12 in takeaways right now. They are leading the country in interceptions right now. They're very opportunistic. Turnovers are huge in this game since everything's amplified, especially turnovers. Since 2000, the team that has won the turnover margin 14-7, and Texas has won the turnover margin 8 of the last 9 meetings. And Quinn Ewers has not turned the football over very much, but he's not the only player there. Other players can turn it over, but look at Oklahoma. They turn the football over or take away the football really well. So that could go either way. So those are 2 trends and stats to watch. Big part of this game is going to be Texas. Can they defend the deep ball in the secondary? Ryan Watts, reportedly, based on a Pete Thamel report, he's saying his sources are saying Ryan Watts, the starting boundary corner for Texas, is out. There's also a report from a man, Joe Cook, that Ryan Watts is suited up, but he is not. He's suited up, but he's not warming up. Right, suited up, but not warming up with the team. So nobody knows exactly what that means. Malik Muhammad is a freshman. He will be the backup boundary corner. Oklahoma will test him early and often. I think they'll throw a deep ball. Hell, if I'm Oklahoma, I throw a deep ball on the first damn drive. And I throw it at that boundary corner, that freshman, to see if he's ready to go. And they're completing damn near 60% of their deep balls. Texas is allowing about a third of their deep balls to be completed, but it's where they've been completed. The teams that are attacking Ryan Watts, but now you got Malik Muhammad in there. I think Malik Muhammad actually higher upside, better coverage guy, better technique at the line of scrimmage, and he's a ball hawk, but he hasn't played in the Texas OU game, and nerves and emotion can be really overwhelming for a young kid. So we'll see how he responds to that. They also have Gavin Holmes, and Terrence Brooks is playing really good, but he will be tested. And Texas has given up, their safeties have some of those deep vertical shots downfield. I do believe Jalen Catalon, we call him Alley Catalon, that is a Justin Wells Rod B collaboration. I think they will play more, or Jalen Catalon will play more, and the coaches will play him more, because he really does. And as my man E. Hogan, he knows his offense is very true really well, because in Arkansas, that's what Kendall Browse ran. And he also can play the run really well from depth, and you're going to need your safeties too deep to deter the deep ball initially on the read from Dylan Gabriel, but also somebody who can come and play the run from depth if they try to test you with the run with that light box, because your safeties are going to be so spread out because they have these really wide splits of their wide receivers. They're all about trying to force you to play with a light box. So all those things will play a role, but as I'm tired of talking about it. I'm ready to get it on. One more segment, and we'll hear from Tyler McComas up in Oklahoma about this matchup and how Oklahoma feels about their chances in the Texas OU game. This is the Horn Pregame on 101.9, also AM 1260, and also on the Horn app.
The second annual Smithville Music Fest is today in the beautiful town of Smithville, Texas. No need to buy tickets because it's free. Just show up and start dancing like nobody's watching. This year's lineup is absolutely incredible, featuring the talents of Brianna Adams, the Aguirre Dynasty Band, Larry Wilson, and Dylan Gamble. A star-studded affair you won't want to miss. Enjoy a day filled with nonstop entertainment from the finest musical artists in Texas for free. Smithville Music Fest 2023, where families make memories that last a lifetime.
Real Texans are genius.
Bud Light salutes you, overly dedicated Texas Longhorn fan.
How come?
You show up